What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be all about basically the new version of Warzone 2.0 that we saw in the streamer playtest yesterday. So they get to play Warzone for about, it was roughly like 2 hours. They played 3 or 4 matches. So we learned a lot about all the changes they've made to Warzone. It's not the same that we saw at the first playtest. There's loadouts, things like that. So they've changed up a bunch of stuff, and we're going to go over all those changes today. As always, if you guys like the content, be sure to subscribe. Usually about 40% of the people that watch my videos are not subscribed. It's free for you. It helps me out a bunch. So if you would be willing to do that, I'd appreciate it. But we're going to jump into it, and we will talk about all the changes to Warzone 2 and the current state that's about to release. So first off, in the background, we're going to be watching mostly Dr. Lupo's gameplay. So be sure to go drop him a follow on YouTube, and a little bit of Symphony as well. So he's a streamer on Twitch, so go check him out as well. Their links are down in the video description. But first of all, the new map looks absolutely amazing to me. It's huge. I think it's much more styled in the way Verdansk played than Caldera, but I do think they've mixed a little bit of those traditional BR elements in there as well. But something that was really cool about Verdansk is they mixed in a lot of the multiplayer maps, the smaller multiplayer maps, into Verdansk. So it was basically just a bunch of small, already tested multiplayer maps and ground war maps. So they knew how to build that and make good maps because they were basically just copy pasting from multiplayer. I think that's one of the reasons that Verdansk felt so good to play in the BR mode, and Caldera didn't really have that. We had maybe a couple smaller options, but nothing like Verdansk, where like almost every single area was like one of the maps from multiplayer or ground war. And I've noticed that in the new map for Warzone 2.0, there's definitely a lot more of those multiplayer maps throughout. The new map also looks gigantic. It looks much bigger than Verdansk or Caldera. At least it played that way. It seemed like 150 players might not be enough to keep it feeling as active as the old modes, but you're going to see that throughout all these things I'm going through. It's very clear that they tried to kind of slow down the pacing of Warzone 2.0 compared to Warzone 1. We've seen that throughout with the movement changes, the looting changes, the bigger map, just really slowed down everything. And it's a conscious decision by them, I'm sure. Something we did see in the first preview that we got of Warzone 2 was how the zones, the circles, can actually split. So it's between 2 to 4 different circles that will split early on in the game, and then those go in different parts of the map, and then they slowly reconverge towards the end of the map into one zone at the end. So there's only one team that wins, but I think that's interesting. They're just trying to mix it up. Like, they're just trying to put some changes in the game that are just a little bit different, but still play similarly. So we'll see how that works out. I don't really know what that's going to do. Basically, you're going to have like one team probably that wins each circle. So then you're going to have like these 2 to 4 winning teams that reconverge at the end of the match and have to fight for the actual overall win. So I think it could be interesting. So loadouts are back. I've got a clip of Symphony in the background. When their loadout dropped, Symphony and Breadman's team, basically it looked like 5 loadouts dropped throughout the map, and it kind of seemed like anyone could get the box. So it wasn't like just your team could get it, like it is in current Warzone. And I think they did that because they didn't like that, so many loadouts were dropping every single time. So these big planes, the C-130 flew over, dropped the loadouts, and it looked like they were throughout the map, spread out evenly. So teams are going to be fighting for those loadouts because it looks like anyone can get them. So I think that's interesting. I'm glad loadouts are back. The first free loadout, I believe the only free loadout, drops 14 minutes into the match. So it was Circle 3. Before Circle 3 was closing, with 30 seconds left until it started closing, that's when the loadout dropped. So pretty far into the match, the first 14 minutes of the match are all going to be fought mostly with ground loot. Pretty much everything's a lot more expensive in this mode now. So Warzone 2, the buy station stuff's really expensive. It's like a UAV is like 12,000. I didn't actually see how much a loadout is, but I'm sure it's 15 to 20,000. It's a lot more expensive than it was in Warzone 1. So it's gonna be much harder to get those guns early on until that free loadout drops. So on the looting side of things and the inventory side of things, they did change that up a bunch for Warzone 2. So it's interesting. You still have like your on player inventory. So that's like 3 plates, your ammunition, things like that. Then you also have a 7-slot inventory. I think you can get backpacks to expand that to more slots. But basically you can put anything in those 7 slots that you could pick up normally, except I think weapons. I don't think you can put weapons in there, but you can put, like, you could have like 7 airstrikes. You could have 2 airstrikes and 5 UAVs. You could have 3 self-reses and 2 UAVs. But again, stuff's super expensive, so you're not going to have that. I'm just kind of explaining how it works. So I think you can probably, like, on your in-player inventory, I think you can only hold 3 plates. but I think you can probably use one of those 7 slots to hold another 3 plates, or 2 of the slots to hold 6 more plates, things like that. So it's kind of like a hybrid system. It's more like a traditional BR inventory system than what we've seen in the past. They kind of, throughout this whole thing, slowing the pacing down, the map changes, the inventory changes, the looting changes. It seems like they're trying to push this towards a slower paced, more traditional BR, still with like a COD twist. Something that's carrying over from Warzone 1, I believe, is lack of one-shot headshots for snipers. So if you have a satchel, once you pick up a satchel, you can put 3 plates in. If you don't have a satchel, you can only put 2 plates in. I'm assuming that's 200 health and 250 health, because the original Warzone 1 was 250 health with 3 plates. I believe that's what they're going to do for this, but we don't have confirmation yet, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to be. So basically, I think if you only have 2 plates and someone headshots you with a heavy sniper, I do think that will knock you. I'm not positive about this. I haven't seen confirmation, but I do have confirmation. You'll see the clip running in the background right now. This is Symphony sniping someone and getting a headshot, but they had 3 plates, and it says on the screen, it says 3 plates broken. So that's how we know that it doesn't down a player, even if you hit a headshot. So if they hadn't done that, snipers would have been absolutely overpowered in this mode for sure. Based on all the weapon changes, weapons are harder to control. Automatic weapons are not going to be nearly as beamy at range in this game. So yeah, snipers would have been really, really overpowered, I think, if they hadn't done that. So I do think that's a good thing. They're also going to introduce a third-person mode. It's not going to take over first-person. They're still going to be first-person, but I don't really like third-person in multiplayer. But in BR, it actually looked really good. It looked like it could be a lot of fun, and it'll be a nice, change of pace compared to just playing first-person BR non-stop. So it'll be, every COD has always been basically first-person. There have been a couple exceptions to that. So I think there'll be some growing pains for the COD community to play third-person BR. But obviously there's other very, very successful BRs that are third-person, and people like those modes. So I do think it's really cool that they're adding that, and it looked really well done. Like it looked like it was pretty smooth and played pretty well. Gulag in Warzone 2.0 is still the 2v2 thing where the jailer spawns in the middle of the match, and if you kill the jailer, then I think your other teammate and you, whoever's in the gulag with you, I think you get released if you kill that jailer and get the key and go out the door. There's also, it's 2v2, so if you kill both other players, I don't know if your team wins if both people come back or if just you come back. Kind of a weird system, but I don't really have an opinion on it yet because I haven't played it, but it's at least some kind of change, and it sounds interesting, but I don't know how it's actually going to work out. I think a lot of people didn't like it the first time through and they haven't really changed it, so we'll see how it actually works out in Warzone once we get a chance to play. Alright, that is everything I wanted to talk about in this video. Just wanted to give you guys an updated, basically synopsis of what Warzone 2 looks like at this point. We got Loadouts back, which is awesome. The inventory system looks better than it did in the last preview. It's going to be definitely a growing period for people that either haven't played other BRs before or just don't want to deal with an inventory system, because we didn't really have that with Warzone 1 at all. It was a much quicker looting. It's going to be more clunky to loot things, but it also means that you can kind of strategically pick what you want in your inventory for different situations, which I think is cool. But we do still have the regular on-character stuff as well, so like ammunition and plates, you can still automatically pick those up as you open something or run over someone's body or something like that. It'll still automatically pick those up. But if you want extra and you want to use those slots in your inventory, that's where you have to use the inventory management system, which honestly it looked okay. It's going to be harder on controller than mouse and key for sure. Mouse and key will be a lot quicker at moving things around and dropping stuff and things like that. So we'll see. But overall, I'm actually really excited for Warzone 2 now. When I first saw it and there were no loadouts and the whole thing just looked clunky and slow, and it is a slower BR, but the changes they've made, the map looks great. I'm actually really excited for it now, which is a very big change for me from where I was before. But as always, if you guys like the content, don't forget to subscribe, drop a comment on what you thought about all of the Warzone 2 stuff, and I will see you in the next video.